One of the perks of U.S. citizenship is being able to sponsor your parents for a green card, but you must meet certain criteria. Today, we're going to talk about how U.S. citizens can sponsor their parents for a green card, what forms to fill out, how long it takes, and how much it costs. People often ask me whether they should hire an immigration lawyer or not to do this paperwork, and I'll give you my honest opinion in today's video. For green card holders that want to sponsor their parents, unfortunately, you can't. Not until you become a U.S. citizen. Even if you are in the process of becoming a U.S. citizen and it's 1 year away, you cannot sponsor your parents. You are not able to sponsor your parents until the day you take your oath ceremony and get that naturalization certificate. Until then, you cannot file. All right, let's dive into today's video. For more information like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. Let's start with you, the U.S. citizen. In order to sponsor your parents for a green card, you need to meet the following criteria. You need to be able to prove that you are a U.S. citizen. You need to show that you are 21 years of age or older. You need to be able to show that you have assets or income that are at least 125% of the poverty guideline. Now, as you can see on the chart on the screen, the dollar amount varies by the number of people in your household. So if it's just you and a partner, you need to show income or assets of at least $21,550. And lastly, you can prove your relationship to your parent. Now, let's talk about your parent's eligibility for a green card. A parent can be denied a green card or deemed inadmissible for a past immigration violation, a criminal conviction, and various other reasons. If there is anything unusual in your parent's background, it would be best to speak with an immigration attorney before filing a green card application. There are several types of waivers that an attorney can file to overcome some of these objections, but only an attorney can tell you if any of those waivers apply to your unique circumstances. If there is nothing unusual like an overstay in your parents' background, then the process is fairly simple. It starts with filing Form I-130, which is the petition for an alien relative. If you're sponsoring both parents, you need to file one for each parent. If your parents were not married at the time of your birth and you're sponsoring your father, you will need to provide some additional evidence. You can sponsor a step-parent if your birth parent married your step-parent before your 18th birthday. You will have to include a copy of the marriage certificate and any applicable death certificates or divorce decrees. If your parent is outside the U.S., you start with filing Form I-130 and supporting documentation. You then mail it to the USCIS address that is applicable to you, and I'll share a link in the description below so you can figure out which address is relevant for you. Within a few weeks, you should receive a notice from the USCIS that acknowledges that they've received your application. The processing time for Form I-130 varies by service centers. According to the USCIS website, these are the current processing times for the parents or spouse of a U.S. citizen. As you can see, the Vermont Service Center is the slowest, but processing times are constantly changing, and these are the average processing times as of the filming of this video. So take these ranges for what they are, an estimate but not a guarantee. I'm going to share a link in the description below with the most up-to-date processing times by service center. All you do is select Form I-130 in the first drop-down, and then you select your service center and you'll get an estimate of the processing times. If you're working with an attorney, they'll also be able to share their more recent client experiences and what type of timelines they've been experiencing. Once the I-130 is approved, the USCIS will send you an approval notice, also known as the I-797 Notice of Action. An approved I-130 in itself does not give your parent any immigration benefit. It's simply the first step in the process. The USCIS will now forward your petition to the National Visa Center, also known as the NVC, for pre-processing, where a case will be created in the system for you and a case number will be generated. Soon after, the NVC will send you a welcome letter with your case number and invoice number. You will use this information to log into the Consular Electronic Application Center. In this portal, you will be able to manage your case and check for status updates. The first thing you need to do after receiving your NVC welcome letter is to pay your processing fees. There are two processing fees, the immigrant visa application fee and the affidavit of support fee. After you pay these fees, you'll be able to apply for your immigrant visa through Form DS-260, but it can take about a week or so for your payment to post. During this stage of the process, you also submit Form I-864 to prove that you, the U.S. citizen, are able to support your parent financially. Once the forms are submitted and the fees are paid, the parent will be able to schedule an interview at the consulate where the immigrant visa will be approved. With that immigrant visa, they can enter the United States, and they must do so within 6 months. Their physical green card, their permanent resident card, will be mailed to them soon after they arrive in the U.S. If your parent is already living in the U.S. legally, such as on a work visa, you could file Form I-485 to adjust their status at the same time as you file Form I-130. You would also file Form I-864 at the same time. If your parent is here on a tourist visa, I would recommend speaking with an immigration attorney because the intent when you come here on a tourist visa is to stay here temporarily, so it is tricky. If your parent is undocumented, I definitely recommend speaking to an immigration attorney because the process is much more complicated. A medical examination is also required of all green card applicants, whether you're in the US or outside the US, and you have to go to a USCIS approved doctor. If your parent is outside the US, your parent will be given instructions on how to locate a USCIS approved doctor in their home country. If outside the US, the parent must complete the medical exam before his or her interview at the consulate, and you must take those results in a sealed envelope to the interview. If you are filing Form I-485 for a parent that's already legally in the US, at your medical exam, the doctor will give you a sealed envelope which will contain Form I-693. You will send this sealed envelope along with your Form 485 all in one package. So how much does all of this cost? If you choose to do this yourself without the help of an immigration lawyer, here is a breakdown of all the filing fees depending on where your parent lives. I just want to point out that as of the filming of this video, the USCIS is in the process of raising filing fees, but they're quite minimal for the categories that I talk about here. So I've included the fees that are current as of today, but if you're watching this video later in 2020 or 2021, I would check the filing fees on the USCIS website, and they might be $20 to $30 more than the chart that you're seeing right now. As you can see, through the consular process for a parent abroad, you're looking at roughly $1,000 plus the medical exam. From within the US, if your parent is here legally and you'll be adjusting their status, you're looking at roughly $1,800 in total. Now, let's talk about whether you need to hire an immigration attorney or not. If your parent has no unusual circumstances and you have the time to fill out the paperwork, it is certainly doable without an immigration attorney. However, if you are stressed about your immigration situation or don't have a lot of time, then I would recommend working with an attorney because mistakes are less likely and it can save you a lot of time and headache. When you fill it out yourself, you have to be extra careful that you don't make any mistakes because mistakes can be very costly. With that said, I've personally used immigration attorneys for all my green card and citizenship paperwork, but I also have friends that didn't, and they got their green cards just fine on their own. So really, it's a matter of what you are comfortable with and what your budget allows. On average, based on the attorneys in our network, which are primarily in New York, it will run you anywhere between $1,400 to $2,500 in legal fees to get one parent's paperwork done by an immigration attorney. If you're sponsoring both parents, you can usually work something out with the attorney so that it's not double the price of that. But again, that varies from attorney to attorney. And remember, your attorney can be based anywhere in the US. Immigration law is federal, so it doesn't matter where the attorney is located. Just make sure it is an actual licensed immigration attorney. Lastly, I want to add that this video is being filmed while there is an immigration ban in place. Currently, the administration is not allowing the issuance of immigrant visas for parents of US citizens through the end of 2020. However, if you haven't even yet filed your I-130, I don't think you need to worry about this right now because it will take you at least 7 to 14 months to get the I-130 approved and then get your welcome letter and then get an interview at the consulate. So by then, we might be in a very different place. So I would encourage you to go ahead and file your paperwork and not worry too much about the visa bans that are currently in place whenever you watch this video, because You first have to go through a series of forms and get them approved before visa bans even start to matter. I hope the green card process for the parents of a U.S. citizen is a little more clear to you right now. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you found today's video helpful, hit the like button below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.